having a baby will test your marriage. You don't even know the half of it. Now, this is what I think, puts a woman in that situation where you feel like you hate your husband after you've had a baby. Number one is that it's the woman who mostly spends a lot of time preparing for the baby. And I mean, the reason is not far-fetched because it's your body going through all these changes. You can feel the little human in your stomach growing. So you're constantly asking questions. Oh, how would I be able to do this, when the baby comes? Or why do I have the symptom? Is this normal? So along the 9-month journey, the woman is really learning a lot. And some men do not understand that as much as the woman is learning, you as the father, you're also supposed to be learning, So what happens is the baby comes, the woman has studied, read about outcomes, things that could possibly happen. And then you have an unprepared husband. And so you're at that point where every single time it just seems like you're having to tell your husband what to do, and it creates resentment because it's your first time as a mom too, and you're not supposed to be the only person figuring this thing out. And guess what? It's actually the men who really need to prepare for the baby, because there's something called a mother's instinct that just kicks in the moment you have a baby. Somehow you just know what is right for the baby. You just know how best to take care of it. In fact, the baby is in no better hands than yours. It's a mother's instinct. It just kicks in. But sorry, there's really nothing like a father's instinct. So an unprepared husband can be like really frustrating, and then it makes your wife resentful and start to feel like, I don't like my husband anymore. Now, the two other culprits responsible for this feeling of hatred for your baby, they are not very far-fetched. It's two hormones responsible for producing breast milk and also fostering bonding with your baby: prolactin and oxytocin. Now, when you've had a baby, prolactin increases. Now, prolactin helps, for you to produce breast milk and also for bonding with your baby. But prolactin also, on the other hand, it suppresses estrogen, which is what? Responsible for libido. Now, oxytocin also increases when you've had a baby. Oxytocin is released during nursing, so it's a feel-good hormone. It's released during nursing and during sexual intimacy. But also, after you've had a baby, oxytocin starts it starts reducing your desire for sexual intimacy. So you can basically see that this is your body just basically fighting against itself. And that is where the first thing I said, where it comes to play. If your husband has not read about these things, the changes that could happen to his wife's body, he just starts wondering, after my wife had a baby, she's no longer interested in sex. And the next thing, he's not crying like a baby that they collected biscuits from. You see? So men, it's important. Read a book and, receive sense so that you will not be stressing your wife after she has had a baby. Now, I'm not just going to talk about the problems. I'm going to tell you, because these things happen to me, very personal experiences, and I'm going to share some of the things that my husband and I did and were able to, navigate this. We're still navigating, but I'm going to tell you some of the things that we're doing. I have his permission to share these things, so don't worry about it. He knows I'm going to talk about them. So, some of the things you can do. Number one, you see, after you've had a baby, you people, you need to schedule sex. Because if you don't schedule it, it's not gonna happen. The baby is not sleeping, you're not getting enough rest. And as a woman, there's just a tendency to just give up. You don't even want this thing anymore because you're very tired after looking after the baby. So if you're not intentional about yourself, you will just end up becoming two strangers in the house. So one of the things we do, we schedule sex. Like, we have a particular day where we've said, today is a sex day. Even if it doesn't happen any other day of the week, you see this one, as a matter of duty, it needs to happen. Because why? When people are not having sex as a married couple, you know that anything can just be causing wahala. So as a married couple having a baby, you've gotta schedule the sex. If not, it's not going to happen. Number 2 is communication. It's very important that people communicate exactly how they are feeling, and be kind to yourselves. You've gone through a major change. There's a whole new person living in your house. Be kind, even in your communication, in expressing, how you feel and all of that. Just also remember to be kind to your partner, but communicate is very important, because there's a whole emotion going on when you've had a baby, and there's a tendency to keep bottling up feelings, and you people will just grow apart. And in your head, you're just wondering, I used to like this my husband, I don't like him anymore. It's a communication problem. So talk about how you feel, talk a lot, And number 3 thing, you need to remember that the baby will not always be a baby. Eventually, this stage is going to pass. It's a passing phase, A baby who was just born today eventually is going to be independent, running around the house, and doesn't need that much attention. So remember that your baby will not always be a baby, but if you people don't carefully navigate this stage, you will grow apart. And even when the child has now become independent, you're looking back and you're just wondering, who is this stranger that I married? So it's not a topic that is talked about enough, but this thing actually happens. So it's important that you're prepared, to navigate this stage when you're going to have a baby. Yes, so share your thoughts with me, things that people can do to still keep the spark in the marriage after they've had a baby. Share your thoughts with me in the comment section. Till next time, stay blessed.